So I recently found out about this thing called a KVM. In summary, it's a way to use one computer and the power of the internet to connect to another computer. And I think it's exactly what I need for my purposes. Unfortunately, I don't have a laptop, and I don't feel like dropping 1 to 2K on one just to have something to access my home PC, which you can see in the back here. Ironically, a laptop is overkill. My plan is to use a tiny computer. I chose the Rasberry Pi to build a sort of portal where I have a way to access my desktop PC from anywhere in the world with an internet connection and power. So first things first, I need to be able to see what the screen is showing. For that, we'll need a screen. Now, we can go out and buy a portable monitor, but what I think will be more interesting is to upcycle a now historic piece of tech, the iPad first generation. These go for super cheap secondhand. I got mine for around $10 and the owner wasn't using it anymore. And they are actually pretty easy to disassemble. Thing is, you also need a controller to be able to use it as a general purpose display. Something like this. As it stands, controllers are made for the screen models that you have. So you need to know what the screen model is. In my case, we know what it is. And think of the controller as the interpreter. It takes an HDMI input and it talks to the screen, which is just a matrix of lights that are red, green, and blue. And it talks to it the way it needs to be talked to. It's important to note that every model has its own compatible display controller. If you identify it and can find a compatible monitor, then you're good to go. So I did just that. I found the controller, got the display, plugged it in, and we suddenly have a screen. I mentioned a Raspberry Pi. It's one of the most amazing bits of tech. The community and support around it has been out of this world. And I've personally learned so many skills through it. It's accessible, it's easy to set up, it's low maintenance, and it's all around just awesome. I have a bunch of them scattered around the house. In short, it's a very, very tiny computer. It's exactly what I need for a project like this. I'll be using one as my KVM in the desktop. It takes all the stuff coming out of my PC and sends it to the internet. And for the actual brains of the portal, I'm going to be using another Raspberry Pi. Now, this is by far the most expensive part of the project. Raspberry Pis have not been cheap recently. I was lucky enough that I had one laying around. So I'll just connect the Raspberry Pi to the screen and we should have a basic computer on our hands. There's a bit of an issue that we need to work around here. I want to be able to program and power everything coming out of the box using just one cable. The problem is that the screen and the controller use a different voltage than the Raspberry Pi. When I did my research, I found out that the Raspberry Pi needs 5 volts or less to operate. The screen needs 12 volts. So I have power coming in and I need to make that power 2 different levels of power so that it can power the different parts in the box. Now, if I know what I want, and I have one of these, which is a multimeter, a way to measure everything, it's only a matter of asking the right question for Google. And I did. And I found that the answer was something called a DC to DC converter. It takes in 12 volts because it's very easy to get things you plug in and you get out 12 volts from it into the wall. And it converts it to 5 volts. So I can split the 12 volts, give one of them to the screen and the other one to this thing. It gives me back 5 volts and I give it to the Raspberry Pi. And that's how I solved that one. For controlling it, since it's a computer, I'm going to need to have input devices as much as I'm going to have output devices. A lot of my focus was spent on the screen and making sure that I can see what's coming out, but I need to be able to actually put in instructions. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to use a wireless mouse and keyboard here. So I think now that we have all the ingredients, we need to get this thing functioning. Obviously, I tested it all before sitting down here in front of you and making all these claims, but I wanted to make sure it worked for me. I want it to look like something I can use in public, in a cafe or something, because I mean, I know what it is, but someone takes one look at this and then takes one look at me, I'm not sure. I 3D printed a chassis. And I 3D printed it over and over and over again until I got it right. But I am very happy with the design. I made some fit tests, I drew up some designs, I made sure that air could go in and that I could open it back up again in case I wanted to upgrade something, make some repairs, anything like that. And I also think that bolts look really cool. I think these removable parts and these bolts and things, they look really, really cool. I chose black and white because not only do I think it's cool, it's also the color that I had available. The screen can only be mounted using 2mm bolts, and that turned into the standard bolts that I used for the entire project. They look super clean. They look really, really clean. So let's test it out. Yeah, so the goal was for me to build a very simple, very minimal, very basic machine that I could take with me, put in my bag, carry around, and just move along and plug it in whenever I have internet access and just use it. And to be honest with you, I feel like I achieved that goal. I can use this to access my desktop. This is very portable. I mean, it's hefty and it feels solid, but it's not heavy. You know what I mean? And it's on right now. Everything is wireless. I can switch it all off, and I can be ready to go. Put everything in my bag. I can just go. And for this, I can just press the off switch, have it ready whenever I need it. Takeaways. So so far I really like this. It's pretty quick. It doesn't heat up too fast, doesn't overheat. But if I was gonna do this again, I probably would focus a bit more on some more intricate interlocking features. I think that there's a lot of fasteners here. I like the fasteners. I can't guarantee that everyone else will like the fasteners. One thing I love about this is the bezel and the way the front screen cover looks. I love how clean and clicky the buttons are. I versioned all of my designs. I think 10 versions for the back, 5 versions for the front, and 4 versions for the sides, and the port cover also 4 versions. But anyway, yeah, this is a really, really fun project. If you like this, then like the video, subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.